Hi, everyone. Welcome to MAXTapeLive. Thank you for joining us.
We are so glad you're here. I'm Lindsay Benedetto.
And I'm Craig Rector.
Today, we had a conversation with Chris Fox. He's at 888 Management. He is also the artist manager for Corey Kent, Pat Green, and a few others.
Yeah, Texas legend.
Yeah.
So very interesting perspective that he has, specifically in talking with us, because not only does he have artists who use our technology, but we've also done several brand partnerships with his artists. So Ford and Pat Green, Corey Kent, U.S. Marines, and U.S. Cellular. Yeah. And so the value, kind of the behind the scenes of some of those partnerships and the value of where that sits in the overarching strategy of his kind of artist management was very interesting.
Yeah.
But then with Corey Kent now using Set.Live and how they started using it and some of the things that they have changed to see some more success.
Yeah. A literal 5-second change in their use of Set.Live at a live show yielded a 250% increase in their lead collection.
Saying that right now. And so literally when we're talking about this, like I got goosebumps, but then you say 250% increase, literal goosebumps.
The hairs on our arms stand up.
Yes.
It's every marketer's dream to have a 250% increase in anything. It's every salesperson's dream. So it was super cool to hear from him on that.
And so definitely some tips in there for artist managers and teams, just in tech in general. But however you're joining us, whether it's audio only on Spotify, or if you're watching the video,
looking at our pretty faces right now,
you're gonna want to stay tuned, and let's see what the fox says.
What does the fox say?
Well,
Happy
hello.
Thursday.
Yes.
We made it.
Yeah, we're here.
Almost missed each other there.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, like check. I was like, we should have given him our phone numbers, our cell numbers.
We also know you're a very busy and important guy. So you
at
could have
least
been
somebody
held
thinks
up.
that.
You know, it was like, man, maybe he's like held up on a prior meeting. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe
something happened with Corey Kent.
Yeah, Corey was like, "Hey, let's grab a beer," and you're like, "I have a podcast." Beer with Corey Kent's more important.
Well, the good thing about working in the music industry is generally your early mornings are not very busy.
Yeah.
If you have a busy early morning, that means either something really good or something really bad's happening.
Yeah. So we have to. So as marketers, we deal with a lot of brand marketing and outreach and their schedules, and so when we started to do in transition to also doing the Set.Live marketing, where we started to see like they're opening more emails on Thursday evening, Friday evening, over the weekend, and so we're like, okay, we gotta change this up.
Yeah,
they are
not your typical Monday through Friday
schedules.
business hours. Yeah.
Where are you guys seeing that the most? I'm curious. Like, is there a date that you're like, oh, this is our prime spot?
Like just the day during the week,
like when you're doing your e-blasts.
I mean, we generally, because we have a regular drip, and so we try to not do anything Monday or even Tuesday if we can help it, and do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we have these like 48-hour taps that will just say, oh, hey, just bumping this to the top of your inbox or whatever, and we have sometimes that'll hit over the weekend, and so, but we do find that the later in the week, specifically for artists, managers, and artists, music industry people is better, unless you are dealing with like the 9 to 5 music industry, and so a lot of the times like labels and music marketing agencies, a lot of them will be a little bit more responsive. Really anytime throughout the week, but it's really when you start to get to the artist managers that it's.
The hours are all over the place. Yeah. What are you seeing for Corey's email marketing? Like, when are the best open dates?
So we don't really have the luxury of being super flexible because everything happens on a Friday. It's like, right, music drops are always on a Friday, and then when we do show announces, Friday's payday, and so I think we typically generally get a better response Wednesday, Thursday when we do those. However, there's just something about when it comes to actual conversion, Friday seems to work. Even if we have a not as good open rate. We're not even as good click-through rate. Something about the conversion of actual dollars on Friday, and I guess it correlates with payday. It makes it worth
for the fans
a little
payday,
less conversion.
So they get a little cash in their pocket.
Yes, they're going into the weekend.
They see a promo for a Core Kent album or merch or something. And they're like, yes, let me. Yeah, I do have some extra dollars.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of music drops, we know that Corey just dropped his new single last week, but I saw on his stories that somebody leaked the song a day early.
Yeah. So, we have a lot going on. Corey's a guy that likes to keep the foot on the gas. Since we started working together we started working together in 2020, and we had a meeting of the minds where like, if we're going to do this, let's release music all the time, every 6 to 8 weeks. If we have something pop, maybe we let it breathe for 3 months. Yeah. And so we want fans to feel like, oh, he's always releasing music. And so we just released this Something's Gonna Kill Me is the song it's the piano version. Yeah. And that's the current single. But we have another song that we are planning to release. We don't have the exact drop date yet, but that thing just blew up on TikTok. We were just teasing demos, and all of a sudden, boom, this TikTok video had like 3 million views, and it's got like 18,000 shares and all this. But our media guy, when he uploaded the whole song, and then did a video with just the clip he needed. But when you go to make a video, at TikTok, right? You go to make a TikTok with it, you have the whole song available, and we didn't know this. And so the next thing we know, the whole song is out there, and the song isn't even.
So you went to tease a clip,
and so it's your team, And
yes,
everyone's got access to the whole song, and you're like, learn something new there.
We had somebody from Sony say, hey, the song is leaked, and we're like, how did the song get leaked? There's only like 4 people that have the whole song, and they're all people that are core part of the team. Yeah. And so we were trying to figure this out, and then it was like, oh, we did it. Great.
Well, that was our friend. When I talked to Craig on Friday, it was like, I wonder if someone on his team did it, because I don't understand how music gets leaked, right? Unless you've got a huge team and there are a lot of people in there, and someone who's not a part of the core team, as you say, decides to like leak the song early. But yeah, it's like, was that intentional? Was that to help build some momentum? Yeah.
It wasn't, but I think there is something cool that happens because of that. Like, so we would never have drawn that up, and our Sony would have never said, "Hey, this is a great idea. Get music out there." But what it does create is this extra organic peer-to-peer sharing of the song. That's like, "Hey, I got the song. Hey, here you can find the song over here." And we're not even having to do any of the work, and it's kind of creating this underground, secret place to find the song. Mm-hmm. And we think the song, that leaked video, I think it's got like 300 something thousand views, and it's the whole song, and it's just a blank screen that somebody posted. And at first we were like, okay, we need to go get this taken down. Yeah. And then we were like, I don't know, there's something about it that I think is going to in turn add some benefit to the song, and because the song, we don't know when it's coming out. We were trying to get it out this year. It might not come out till January. But in the meantime, because there's such a demand, I think it's going to kind of satiate that gap between build up and release, and keep it going and grow, in fact. And then all of a sudden the song is available, and there's already a big audience that knows the song. Yeah. So it worked out in our benefit.
Yeah, there definitely is something about that. We have something we shouldn't. We have something that just mentally, for the fan just feels really exciting versus the, a very planned out and methodic.
That sneak peek.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's
exclusive first look at the full song.
Now, how do you see, with past releases and those initial days, and I guess now a week, how it performs, like with this leaked release versus a standard release? Do you see that this is doing as well? Do you see that, oh wow, like
we got to change our approach?
But you can't it's hard to manufacture that kind of authentic
virality.
Whoops.
You're right. Yeah. And look, we've thought about it in like leaking a song. It has paid off for a few artists. I know And there was a song. There's in the Texas scene, right? There's a guy, Co Wetzel, and a couple years ago, he had a few songs get leaked, ended up just blowing up the album before it came out. And then Morgan Wallen had "Thought You Should Know," I think, got leaked, and so there is something to that. But I think you're right. Once you try to actually like manufacture it on your own end, then fans sniff that out. But when there's this authentic, like somebody leaked the song, or it was an accident, or it's not intentional. I think it does create this secret little. I mean, but the song also has to be good. That's the other thing. Like people have to be able to, or want to be able to listen to the whole song. If their song doesn't have, it's not going to create demand that's not there. But if you have a little something, if there's a spark on the song looks like it's going to be something that's going to be reactive, then I think it does absolutely give you a massive benefit, because it's the most powerful form of marketing, and that's peer-to-peer, right? It's not us promoting the song. It's fans saying, hey, I got the song. Here it is. Hey, I got the song. Hey, you're looking for the song. It's at this link. And that, I mean, it's costing us $0. It's costing us zero effort. And now look, it still remains to be seen what the benefit is. But my money is in the fact that this is definitely paying off. It seems to be very encouraging what this will likely do for the song by the time it's out.
Yeah, it cost you nothing except a little bit of gray hair, maybe.
Panic.
Maybe a little bit of panic.
The first couple days, especially, we were like, what? We were freaking out. We were like, how did it happen? And what do we do about it?
Yeah.
And then then the answers were us and nothing. So
it's like, oh man. Well, it's so interesting to hear you talk about this accidental, viral moment with the song. And then also thinking about the fact that we're all marketers in the room. And so much of what we do is planned out, strategized, like it's on paper. We've got the content blocks and you're doing all of these things moving forward. And then sometimes you just get like a lucky break.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And we've put so many, I mean, Wild as Her was massively reactive for Corey on socials. And we did put a lot of time and effort into the marketing plan, and that paid off. And then since then, we've had some success with some other songs, but then it seems like our next big moment since that has come, completely organic, where we've tried to plan out these genius ideas, and then boom, it's something that's been out of our hands that looks like it's leading to the next big moment for Corey. So it's it's the right, tell God you're planning a laugh.
Yeah. One of the things I love about Corey is his presence on social. So tell me, does he actually manage his own social media accounts, or do you have a team, or are you personally on the back end of his stuff?
Yeah, so it's a combination. I think you'll find this with most artists too, at least that I've worked with, that the personal side of socials is just something we can't fabricate. Like when an artist is willing to lean in and be themselves and capture the personal content, they're with their family, or they're doing something they're passionate about, or a hobby or whatever, it only is going to work capturing it from them. If they have to capture it, they need to lead on that. And then the other stuff, generally we can filter around it. So like all the promo stuff, new music's dropping, shows are out, that type of stuff. Typically that's us, me and my assistant, getting that stuff out. And then the other stuff, which we just we brand as content, music stuff, or just general lifestyle, or him out on the road, is a combination of Corey, and we have a media guy. We've been fortunate to have a media guy that's ground zero, day one type of guy with Corey. That's just a buddy of his that came out on the road for a weekend when we were doing nothing. We were playing for 50 people and just wanted to do it because he loved it. And then Corey started growing, and we were able to hire him on full time. And so he's a buddy and knows Corey, and is really great at, when they're tag teaming it, prompting Corey, even when Corey's leading on the content, prompting him to make sure whatever he's trying to illustrate or relay comes out in a really great way that's conducive for media. And so it's really, I mean, it's a combination of Corey who captures the most important stuff, which is the stuff from his heart and the personal stuff, and the stuff that lets people know who Corey is, and then as a person, and then the media guy and myself, we fill in the gaps to let people know who Corey is as an artist.
Yeah.
So an interesting thing you just bring up, Corey letting his fans know who Corey is. What just popped up in my head is, he's that because he's authentic with his fans. He wants his fans to know him. Corey is an interesting topic because we not only work with him, you use Set.Live, but we've also done brand campaigns with him. Was it US Cellular, Marines? And so talk about one, like the fan reaction when they see, the association with, a US Cellular or the Marines, and how that authentically, kind of ties into who he is and him sharing a part of, himself. Like what's the reaction and reception in the fan base to things like that?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate for those two campaigns to do two different things for Corey. And that is right, with the Marines, it was just a natural branding. Corey is as he likes to put it, he's a Sandlot kid. He's a kid that he grew up watching the Sandlot, All-American. Like that's who Corey is. And he's got there's a natural affinity for armed forces. He's got nothing but the utmost respect for all branches of the military. And he's done a lot of work, a lot of philanthropic work with a charity that's based out of Tulsa, Folds of Honor. And they've been a big part of his career. He's worked with them a lot. And so he's got friends and that are all part of our armed forces. And so being able to lean into something that is a big part of who Corey is, and just have some natural affinity was a great way to just let fans know a little bit more of who Corey is and what he believes without us having to be straightforward about it. And then the US Cellular, it was the nature of the campaign where it was all about the hometown, and
that's right.
And leaning in a little more to the actual, like a little under the surface, and letting Corey know who he was, where he's from, the people in that town that he's inspired. And Corey's got a lot of pride being from Bixby is where it's from, and that's right outside of Tulsa. But that whole area and the music scene, he's so grateful and thankful and has so much hometown pride of what that city has done for him, and now what he's been able to do for it. And that campaign really just let Corey lean into his story and where he's from and why he is the way he is and where he is now and why, well, just a little bit more of his journey. And so being able to dive into that and also it be a brand sponsorship was a win-win.
Yeah. Well, we've had conversations with a number of different artist managers who are of the belief that brand partnerships are going to make an artist. Now, of course, Craig and I, we have our own thoughts on whether or not the brand partnership is sort of like the golden cow. It's the end all be all for these artists. But would love to hear your perspective because, Corey's on tour right now with Jason Aldean. I think he's using Set.Live. You guys are doing these things in tandem. He's had brand partnership deals, but then also you've got your own marketing strategies that you're sort of parallel pathing. So would just love to hear your perspective on why it's important and valuable for artists to have their own marketing strategy apart from a brand partnership.
Yeah, I think since post-COVID, and this was happening before COVID, but media is just too big and too vast to have one channel that you're concentrating on. I think you have to have it all. You have to hit them digitally. You have to hit them in person. You have to be, go build it on the road. You have to look for brand partnerships. You have to lean into the DSPs. You have to do it all in 2023, or you're going to miss out on something. If brand, and I think for a lot of artists, the brand partnership is the most difficult piece because it's not something that they can go do on their right. They need a partner, and so being able to do that, it's just such it's a nice boost. It's something like, okay, we're not having to do it all on our own, and we're not having to, and we're going to work with a team. And especially, I don't know. We've worked with some brand partnerships outside of you guys, but certainly with you guys, it's a team that says, here's the plan, here's what we're going to do. You guys just show up and here's here's what we're wanting to do. And it just makes it so easy and so nice and such a relief to feel like you have a partner and not just it's all on your own. And so I think that is possibly a big reason why brands or artists are hoping to have that brand partnership, just because it doubles the effort. It doubles the output.
And I like what you said there. You said boost. And you named Boost after naming off a lot of different channels that are a part of your holistic marketing strategy, you know, the social, digital, the live, you know, brand partnership, and that it is a part of, you know, a multi-channel, multifaceted marketing strategy that is an additional revenue stream, an additional strategy that you can't lean on that, nor can you lean on any one of the others. And so it is, you know, looking for those opportunities while you're, you know, using the products like Set.Live to collect fan information, to take control of, you know, the fan relationship and having that direct access, while still social is important, while still, you know, digital and the song promotion and all that stuff is important. But so I think very correctly, boost is an appropriate, I think that's how I would frame, you know, that kind of value of that, that brand partnership is a boost.
Yeah. What's cool is we've seen it across the board, right? I work with Pat Green as well, and right at a totally different place in his career than Corey. Both Texas guys, or both guys based in Texas, but other than that, at very different places in their career. And Pat did a Ford brand partnership with you guys, and right, there were a lot of great assets that it let him illustrate his artwork, and it was also Christmas time, and his family was in it, and and then he did this live performance from the Star, the Cowboys facility, and we saw a nice boost from even right, Pat, who is, you know, had songs and out for 30 years and has been on the road for 30 years, and boom, here's a way to just be present maybe in places that you haven't been, just because on our own we don't have the ability to broadcast these massive live like broadcasts from the Star, and we don't have the ability to just continually crank out these assets and put ad spend behind them, and so it's good to see that it's not just uniform to new emerging artists, that even a guy like Pat Green, who, like I said, we had the largest touring year in 17 years last year, and we put out new music, and but seeing that in conjunction with the Ford stuff, which was great exposure, and it was all geo-targeted to Texas, which is his home base. But seeing that boost, that in conjunction with everything else we were doing, it was such a nice added benefit.
And so we have one. I just got to give a shout out. My wife loves Pat Green. Born and raised here in Texas. Texas country. When I came home the evening of the live stream, I was like, "Oh, we got to go on the live stream." She's like, "I'm already on it." Like I didn't even have. She was the target audience.
Job well done.
Yeah. And so so she's of course bugging me to, if you know, next show, I just, for my wife, if you can get a signed set list.
He's throwing it out there.
Done.
That would be a great.
Done. I love it.
Yeah,
a great anniversary.
Pat plays in the Dallas area 3-4 times a year at this point. So just let me know, and we'll get you guys hooked up.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
You know, Chris, I don't know if you noticed, but today Craig and I really tried to channel the country Texas music energy.
All right.
With our wardrobe, you know, because you manage those country artists. So we're bringing it today.
I love it.
Yeah, I would have done the hat, but so one of our past holiday parties here,
the boots and bling,
and so I dressed up as Rip from Yellowstone. That's actually this shirt. It had a whole thing.
Your whole thing.
So I'm not from Texas, but I've definitely been adopted into it.
Sure have. Sure.
So
well, welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been here 20 years now. So
okay.
Yeah, practically a native.
I'm practically.
Yeah, you're grandfathered in.
For sure.
Well, plus married, the epitome of
Southern Belle.
The Southern Belle of the Texas. So very lucky.
Oh, you're for
there.
sure in then.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, one thing, or can I jump in here?
Yeah, go for it.
I do want to talk a little bit about Set.Live.
Please.
Because, you know, Corey's on tour right now with Jason Aldean. He is the opener. And one of the things that our team is talking about internally quite a bit is how freaking successful Corey is at integrating Set.Live into his shows, and he's not even the headliner. I mean, you guys are bringing in thousands of new contacts every time he hits the stage. And so we want you to talk about that a little bit. Like, let's talk about how Corey has been integrating this into his show and what it's meant for you guys. What revenue goals have you guys hit with the information you've been able to collect using our tech? All the different things.
Well, and also, I mean, you'll probably go there naturally, but when you started out, there was good success, but there was a certain number that you all were hitting, and then there were some changes you all made into how you did it that just, you know, made it go to the next level. And so that would be very interesting to know what that change was and how those conversations went.
Yeah. So let me start with just our journey before Set.Live, because this was a pain point that was solved through Set.Live, and that's, I mean, the digital capture or info capture at shows. And for guys like Corey, who's based in Texas and is trying to build it on the road, much like guys like Cody Johnson and Parker McCollum, and that's the blueprint for coming out of Texas now, where you play 100 shows a year, even in before the Aldine tour, before Wild as Her. I mean, Corey played 105 shows and on the back end of COVID, and then we played 110 shows. Yeah, right. Being a road warrior. And we were trying so hard. We tried so many things. And we were excited when we walk out with like 25 contacts. And I was reminding those guys, I was like, the old days, right? You would have a sign-up sheet at the merch booth, and you'd ask people for emails, and you would input them manually. We tried that. We tried QR codes at the merch booth, where people we were incentivizing them with a signed guitar at the end of the month, and we were doing okay. So we were maybe pulling in 25, 50 contacts. I was even incentivizing our merch guy. It was like, if you can get 50 contacts, for every time you get 50 contacts, I'll give you $100. So you walk out with 200 contacts, then that's going to be
$400.
Yeah, $400. Yeah. And that is very, very quickly was removed once we did the Set.Live. But right, because that information is so valuable. What you're hoping for is that those people just follow you on socials, and then not only are you open to the liability of them not following you on socials, but then once they follow you on socials, are they even going to see your posts? And so we were trying so hard because we knew how important this was, especially for a guy like Corey, who's on the road constantly and playing, especially Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, multiple times a year. And so when this came along, I ran into Victoria at the ACMs and in Frisco, and we just randomly ran into each other and started chatting. She's like, "Let's go grab lunch." Yeah. And so we sat there and we chatted, and she just told me what this platform was, and I was like, "Yes!" Immediately, let's get this started today.
Yeah.
And she did. Yeah. She sat there and I'm so sorry. I'm going to forget the gentleman's name that was with her.
Probably Jared. I think I remember that Jared and Victoria. Yeah, okay. It was sort of a scramble back here because the team was like, "We got Corey Kent's manager. We're going for lunch. Someone get like the splash page up for Set.Live. Get his like sample page going." So yeah, it was the talk
Victoria
of the day.
I said, how soon could we get this implemented? She said, "I can have it ready by the end of lunch." Yeah. And I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
All right, let's.
That's exactly what the team did. Yeah.
Yes. Corey was playing at the kickoff it was the kickoff party right outside the stadium. It's the official ACM kickoff.
Yeah.
And I might be wrong with that. It might be the CMA kickoff, not the ACMs. And so we knew we were going to be in front of a good crowd. And I was like, let's do this today. And sure enough, you guys had the page built out. You had it ready to go. We tried it. Right there that evening, and boom, it was like 400 contacts. And we were like, "Oh crap, like this is this is something that we've been needing for a long time, and I think we have it." And of course we were like, "Okay, it's the first time. It might not always be like this. Maybe we got lucky.
Maybe it's because of the CMAs."
Sure, people are out there, and it's and we didn't even have access to the iMag either, so it was just Corey announcing from stage. And then the next time we did it, it was like 250 contacts. And then it was just continually outproducing what we were doing beforehand, like tenfold at least. And through that process, we did learn a few things. Where the first night of Jason Aldean, I think we pulled in maybe like 400 contacts, which we were excited about. Mm-hmm. And then the next night it was about the same. And then we just started thinking through the process of when should we show it on the iMag, and what should Corey say. And so, we were able to talk Aldean's camp into having it up before Corey comes on. People are walking in, and there's the QR code, and yada, yada, yada. And then we were able to time it exactly when Corey says it. It also pops up on the iMag. But the biggest tip that I can relay is Corey initially was just going right into his spiel of, hey guys, if you want to win a set list, an autograph set list, go to set.live and you'll be entered to win. And the small change we made is Corey prompted people to get out their cell phones first, because by the time Corey actually told people what to do, the spiel was over. Yeah. And so just the order of the information, especially a difference of a few seconds, I mean, that's all you need to get your cell phone out, open your web browser, and hear what web address or hear the instructions of what to do with the QR code. So Corey was saying, hey guys, I have a cool opportunity for you. Get your cell phone out. And he would wait just a second, said, now go to set.live. And just that arrangement of verbiage brought us from 400 contacts a night to 1,000. And
that is a 250% increase for a few seconds of like, wait.
Yeah.
Like, that is incredible.
We've got goosebumps right now because what we want every artist to hear or artist manager is exactly what you just said. That sometimes when you're implementing the use of a new tool, we're not even talking monumental shifts. It's just pausing for a couple seconds to give people the time they need to get the cell phone out of their pocket while they're also like holding a beer. Exactly. So they're juggling multiple things. Maybe it's just being mindful and making small changes that can make, a dramatic impact.
So you say goosebumps as a, like almost as a representation of the excitement we feel. I legit got goosebumps. Like, that's how nerdy I am as a marketer.
No, we're both we're eating up every word you're saying right now.
When I'm saying 250% increase, like, whoo, goosebumps.
Craig almost has tears. Yeah. He's tearing up right now.
My goodness.
And right now we're going to walk out. We're not done with the tour, but I mean, basically through 3/4 of the Aldean tour, we're up to 30,000 contacts.
What? Say it one more time for the people in the back, Chris.
3/4, 30,000. And I know you can modify the fields, but we have address, email, and phone number. Mm-hmm.
And what's it's so amazing is when you said these places multiple times a year.
Exactly.
That you go to, being able to reach directly, in advance to those specific people is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
nuts.
There is a financial dollar you can put to it, but it's just so hard to quantify how valuable it is.
Well, let's go ahead and quantify it in a value of what you would have paid out of pocket for 30,000 contacts.
To your merch guy.
Yeah. I mean, that come out to like 60 grand or something like that.
Yeah, something.
Merch guy hit it big.
And I do love that that we've been able to implement it automatically into community, and we were able to have that, so we can immediately text those folks, and they immediately get a text, and they know who it is, and then through community as well, we can see the click-through rate, and we can see we have it. It creates a known audience of set.live audience, so we can always segment to see who's clicking and where did we pick them up and all that, and just the click-through rate from because we've now since done 2. I think we've had 2, maybe 3, where we've gone back into those same markets and had a show, or actually none of them have actually played. They're all on sale now, but we were able to. Like, we're gonna have hopefully our biggest one. So Denver, Corey's playing Denver this weekend, and then we're gonna play again in January. And so we're gonna be able to, and it's going on sale on Monday, right after he plays on Saturday. So be able to have what we're hoping, 1,000 contacts, immediately be able to hit them with a ticket link for Corey's headline show there.
See us in January.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's worth hundreds, hopefully thousands of dollars.
Its weight in gold. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, right, if we get 1,000 contacts, we're at least pulling 10% of those into buyers. I mean, 100 buyers to most of the time, right? The average ticket buy is 2 tickets. I mean, that's 200 tickets. If we have a $20 show, right? I mean, that's $4,000.
Yeah.
That hopefully we just picked up. I mean, just by having that tool implemented.
Yeah. And so it's a free tool that increases your efficiency with what, getting this information is valuable, that is now converting into dollars that, may or may not have been realized otherwise, and certainly wouldn't have been able to track that. That is, it's a marketer's dream for sure. Now,
what's also great, is right on that splash page. Not only do we get their information, but right, you can you can get Corey's Instagram and Spotify and Apple Music and
merch and whatever you want.
All those links are right there. And Corey is his best asset is his live show. We've known that from the beginning, that his live show is where we win. And so when people have that splash page in front of them and they're seeing him, they're enjoying the concert, and they become a fan, makes it so easy to then, okay, we picked up Instagram followers. Okay, we picked up Spotify followers. We picked up people favoriting it on Apple. That's a bonus on top of also having their information.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying you collect this information and hopefully you can get them to, go do a social follow. You can hopefully do all these things. And now you have a way that is collecting that information, is promoting potentially a pre-save, social, merch, all this stuff, all within one experience when they're at the height of that connection with the artist live. And then you have that direct access. You were talking about this, I can't remember after which show, but you were talking about the 24-hour post-show depression for a fan.
Yes.
Because you have the high of that show and you're crashing 24 hours later, and then being able to reach out to them directly and personally with a message that's like, thanks so much for coming. I mean, you're just bringing that fan just closer and closer to...
It was Beyonce, for the record.
Okay.
Yeah, the Beyonce blues post-show.
Yeah. But I also love how Corey is so, his energy and intent with, even with, the ACMs, CMAs, with a new thing, brand new, untested.
Like 4 hours old at that point.
Yeah, and you're like, we can get this stood up, and you're like, let's do this. And he's like, let's do this. I love that energy.
That entrepreneurial spirit and willingness to just try it and see what happens. And not just try it once, but to be like, all right, well, let's do it again.
Yeah.
New atmosphere.
And then when you're seeing success that most people would be like, this is successful, you guys were like, I think
we can still do it
better.
We
can still do better. It's not resting on this was successful. We're getting 5 times what we usually get. You're like, how can we 10x this? And so I love that. I love that journey. I love that story.
Yeah.
God, we definitely feel blessed as somebody who also has that open-minded, let's experiment, especially back then when we were like, hey, look, we can swing and miss and no one's going to notice. And so there were so many misses and so many experiments and so many, let's try this when Corey was starting out, that he's just kind of adopted that nature. And now we've filtered that in a little bit. We're not doing quite as big of risks, but Corey by nature is just a guy that's like, let's go try it. We weigh through the pros, the cons, and all of that. It's not just on a whim, but when it looks like, hey, look, this looks like low risk, high reward. Let's anytime it fits that box, Corey's like, let's try it. And so he was a little. He actually, the first time he did it, he forgot it, and and I was up there on side stage, and he was like, "I'm Corey Can't thank you." I was like, "Corey, said that live," and so he had to come back to the mic.
We have it on video, Chris. We have that moment on video because Victoria was there, and she's like, he's starting to walk off, and then he comes back on. He's like, "Oh shoot, I forgot I was supposed to tell y'all about this thing." We have the video recording of it, and we were just like, "This is amazing. You gotta love the like human flaw almost in the entire, like, it's like you can not do it perfect the first time and it's still gonna be great, you know?
That also I think speaks to the relationship that you have. I mean, I would assume the relationship you have with Corey specifically, but I would assume with all the artists that you manage, that there's that level of trust to have that dialogue and to take those adventures and to, so that's so I guess kudos to you for developing that type of relationship, that you can bring those things, and that their spirit of adventure is they get to explore that spirit of adventure because of the trust that you've built with them, to know that you're not going to bring
something to them that's like not going to be worth the effort to try it. Yeah.
So you gotta love that.
Yeah, we've been. I'm also a marketing nerd. I mean, part of my morning routine is reading my newsletters and seeing what what the latest and greatest is, and right. I think in the last probably 10 years, right, there's been little reward for waiting. You're almost always going to get the most benefit out of a tool when it's new, before right, whether it's a social platform or whatever. It gets oversaturated, or they start charging for it, but when you can hop on board to something new and growing, versus waiting till it's oversaturated and they're charging for it, right, you're almost always going to get a better, like the peak of Facebook was, the virality on Facebook was well before you could spend ad dollars on it. The TikTok is so oversaturated, which everybody saw the benefit. The early adopters were the ones that really got the benefit from it. And we were able to on some of the things we've tried with Corey, we've seen some of that benefit come from early adoption. And so Corey's bought in because we've been able to have those wins. And sure, we have our losses, we have our swings and misses, but being early adopters, Corey's absolutely seen the benefit of it. Same thing with Set.Live. We're like, hey, this is new. It looks like it's going to be to great benefit. Let's try it. And it was a no-brainer, just because we've adopted that mentality of let's be early adopters and see. And if it doesn't work, then we'll just pass on it. Maybe nobody notices. It feels like there's so much going on in today's world, especially marketing and media, that the losses by nature are the less seen, unless it's a big loss. But right, you go, the things that get the least amount of attention are typically the losses. So there's low risk to going out there and trying, as opposed to maybe 10, 15 years ago, you had to go out there and this was your marketing plan, and this is what you were going to do, and you were going to blast that out on all channels. And if it was a flop, a lot of people noticed. But it feels like you can just go experiment now.
Yeah.
Well, and just to assuage any fear, maybe fear is a strong word, but like our ethos as a company is, to not, like, we don't want to cost artists anything. And so even as Set.Live gets bigger, we have other plans for Set.Live. So it is our intent to always have that be a free tool for artists to use. Our whole suite, Set.Page, Set.Fan, and then some others that we are now integrating that I don't want to speak here on without legal approval, but I think that you're also going to geek out over. That will be a part of the set suite of tools.
What's coming.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to use a couple of those. We have some big believers that and 888 that they use the set and and just saw amazing results.
Which will now be a function within Set.Fan. So we're integrating the that whole digital. So you'll have your live tool Set.Live, then you'll have your digital tool Set.Fan.
Yeah, where you can really find out where the fans are spending their time online, their purchasing habits, what types of brands they like, preferences. Talk about taking it to another level.
Yeah,
talk marketing to me.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're all geeking out over here. I mean, one thing I loved that you said, Chris, about failing early. Kind of how we phrase that here at our company is failing fast. Just getting it out of the way.
Fail fast and fail forward.
Yeah. Chris, I said Chris, but I'm looking at Craig over here. Craig says that all the time. We're just like, well, I don't know if it's going to work out, but let's try this one thing and let's get it out of the way. If it's not going to work out, on to the next, no skin off of our backs. So Absolutely love that mentality. And that's something that we embody here as well as a company, that very like scrappy artist, entrepreneurial spirit. Like we kind of feel like we're artists over here, you know?
Yeah. Well,
we're trying
like
to hit it big too.
That way. I think you have to be that way in 2023.
Yeah.
It's if you don't have that mentality, then you're gonna watch people pass you by that do.
So you talk about the, fail fast, fail forward, take big swings, or take swings. What would be advice that you would give? Like, what's one of the biggest mistakes that artists and artist managers and teams make when starting out?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
You could even contextualize it to, what's Corey's biggest mistake, right? What have you guys done together that you really learned from?
Or let's go several ways while your mind's thinking on this answer. Yeah. Like, what are the most important things that they should be doing that they may not be doing as they're starting out?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think might be a little redundant, but I think it's like you have to go out and try, especially like you have the benefit as you're starting out where very few people are looking. And if you're not going out and experimenting and trying, why you have very few eyes on you, then you're missing out on the best opportunity to fail, the best opportunity to try new things out. So as you get bigger and more eyes are on you, then your failures, right, do get a little more exposure. There's more eyes on you. So as you're starting out, that is the opportune time. It's not the time to be precious. It's the time to be prolific. And it's a time to go out there and try and do as many things as you can and take swings, and especially ones that have high reward, even if that's your opportunity to be able to do the high risk, high reward scenarios. And I think if you're trying to protect your image, if you're trying to be in a shell at that point, then you're going to miss. As I said, you're going to watch artists that have this mentality of going to try. You're going to watch those artists pass you by. I think the other big thing is in a world where so much media is needed to play the game these days, with TikTok coming along and just the quantity of media pieces needed, that if you're not being authentic, fans are going to sniff that out. And if you look at who has succeeded in the country world, especially through the last 5 years, it's people that are being themselves, people that are being authentic, not people creating an image, not people manufacturing their brand. This is who I am. Let's figure out a way to tell who I am, not a way to create a brand and image. And I think that if you're not doing that, you may work for a little while, but eventually fans sniff that out, because you have to be so present on social media. If you're creating something that's a facade, it's gonna be sniffed out.
I mean, artist authenticity is a topic that has come up in every conversation we have had on this podcast so far. Just the idea that people, their bullshit meters are too good these days. Yeah. So really,
and there's too much opportunity for it through media for it to be exposed and to show those cracks and to see the bullshit.
Yeah. And then you take like cancel culture coming out of the pandemic, and in some ways you do risk a lot sometimes when you're showing up and you're speaking out or towards things that are really meaningful to you personally as an artist, but not necessarily have something directly to do with your music, but still it's true to who you are as an individual. There is some risk in that, certainly. And I don't know if there's ever been a moment for Corey specifically where he's been like, I really want to engage in this way, in this cultural moment on my platforms, because it's important to me personally or to my family, and I want my fans to be in on that conversation. But maybe you guys have talked behind the scenes that like, oh man, I don't know, because it could go either way. It could backfire. So I don't know if there's a moment you could share.
Yeah, so we've kind of leaned in the opposite direction, where it's like if we feel like it is something that could potentially be, I don't know, controversial or polarizing or fragment a segment of your audience, then do it. then that is a way to
Let's
let people
suss
know
out
who
those
you
true
are.
fans.
Yeah. Now, look, if it's something offensive,
oh,
if it's
sure,
something,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yes.
like, so here's a part of Corey's brand that is, I mean, he is a very big Christian. He's a guy that faith is a part of who he is. He every morning he wakes up, it's a part of his routine. He reads the Bible, he has his coffee, he prays, and that is something that seems that could possibly fragment your audience if you're continually promoting that part of your brand. And it's something that it's like, look, this is who you are, then feel free to be who you are. Don't feel like you have to pull that back because it might, like, tell who you are. And through that, I think you gain respect, you gain, it's authentic to who you are. I think it's the people that are trying to do things that are not authentic to themselves, and they're controversial, or it not only is it something that fragmented your audience, but the other half sniffs it out, and this is not who you like. We're not buying it.
Yeah. There's a big difference between allowing people to see who you are, so him being a Christian, allow people to see that this is who I am, and him being able to back that up with his life and his decisions and who he is, and then somebody trying to use Christian themes as a way to gain favor and appeal to. And so, and
it's a fine line to walk sometimes, I think.
Yeah. And I think even, artists that as long as it's passionate to them and it's not anything, let's say, hateful or anything discriminatory or anything, but it's a polarizing issue, I think artists stand to benefit if it's something that they are truly passionate about by leaning into that versus shying away from it. If you're trying to make everyone happy, you're going to make no one happy. If you're trying to please all your fans, you're not going to please any of them. And I think that you'll find like a brand identity in 2023 is so important. People want to know who you are and what you stand for. And I think it's more important for people to know what you stand for, even if they don't agree with it, than to not let them know what you stand for at all.
Oh, I was just going to say to follow up on that, I don't know how many, some of your favorite artists, and a fan feels like they know. And that is the relationship that is being developed between an artist and a fan, is the more that, even through their lyrics, a fan, feels like they are becoming to know this person. And so in any relationship, if you don't tell the person that you're in a relationship with who you are, like there's only so deep that relationship can go. And so him being authentic and him taking those risks and chances to be real is only those people that love his music and who love him feel that they know him more and more. And they, then from a marketing standpoint, they'll spend more and more on those that they feel closer to and more connected with, and that, that they connect with.
See, it's interesting because it's sort of like flip-flopped for me, Craig. When I listen to one of my favorite artists' music, I actually feel like they get me. Like the lyrics speak to me and resonate with me. And so when they show up authentically on their platform, or I have the opportunity to understand them, it's like, it's sort of that like that hand holding. It goes, but for me, music is like, I don't know that I know more about the artist through their music and lyrics. I feel like they are speaking to me. They get me. So when they come out and they're showing their faith on social media, or they're speaking out on issues that mean something personally to them, I'm like, well, that makes sense now. Now I understand like where that song came to be, or I feel like you get a window into, who they are as a person. So interesting.
I like that reframing. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit on something that's kind of flown under the radar, and that is the marriage of song and lyrics with the branding. And sometimes it's close, but then there's sometimes where it's like it aligns so perfectly where it when you see who they are as a person, it makes their songs and lyrics that more authentic, because it's coming from a place. It's one thing to just make music and then stand for these issues or these passions or whatever, and it's another thing for them to be married, and you can feel the music being married to who they are as a person, because you see that they're actually authentic, and this is what they actually stand for, and this is what their identity is, and it's a marriage of it, and it's totally ingrained.
Yeah. Well, we got to ask you a couple of fun questions as we come up on our time here. And this is something we're asking every guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
But inquiring minds need to know, what is your most memorable concert experience?
And it can even be your first.
Could be your first,
most memorable concert experience.
Yeah, most memorable, good or bad.
I've been fortunate enough to have several, and I'm trying to narrow it down here. But one that stood, and this is the first concert I remember. I was living in Virginia at the time, and I was 7 years old, and it was in this big community park. And I grew up in a household where the radio was always on. Country radio was always on. We would spend Sundays after church driving for what seemed like hours to listen to the countdown. Every morning when we wake up on Saturday or Sunday, CMT was on. So I was bred to be a country music fan, and so I knew who these artists were, but I'd never seen a concert like that. And it's like it's Shenandoah, it's Trisha Yearwood, and then there's this guy that I've heard about. He's new, but he's the headliner, and I just remember there was a song I really liked by him that had just come out. It was "Friends in Low Places." And sure enough, right, it's Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everybody's singing along. And this is what I remember is that there was like this hill behind the stage, and there were people sitting back there, right? That hadn't paid to get in or whatever, and there was a black curtain. Yeah. So you couldn't really see the stage. And so Garth turns around, rips off the curtain, and then sings the last verse of "Friends in Low Places" to the people up on the hill. And it was so,
my gosh.
Wow.
It was just, it was a moment that's been ingrained in my head as, I mean, that's the first concert experience. I remember it just being like, even at 7 years old, I didn't fully grasp it, but know that, hey, there's something really cool happening.
There's not much that people remember when they're
at
7 years old. And so the fact that made that big of an, that is, I mean,
it's like stored in your bones, core
that's
memory.
That's also so Garth.
I was, well, if it paints any context to you, I was like Garth Brooks for Halloween that year. I sung like a Garth Brooks song in my school talent show. I was
a diehard.
Like that was a moment like that.
It's also like breaking the norm, ripping that. I mean, just that whole experience. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's, one of the things we love most about what we do being in the music industry is music speaks to people in a way nothing else does.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just, those moments, those experiences you carry with you for a lifetime, and they influence all other decisions you might make, what you're going to be for Halloween, or what you're going to sing your talent show, or what you want to be when you grow up. I mean, just music has a power unlike anything else. We absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
Thank you.
Well, I've really enjoyed this chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you're just great to talk to. And I have to say, I didn't get to say this at the beginning, but you have one of those names that's like, you got to say it together, your first and last name together. Everybody, this is Chris Fox, and we're live with Chris Fox. You're not just Chris, you're Chris Fox.
Well, for most people, I don't even put, but for some reason, people just naturally adopt Fox. And I've been called Fox my whole life, it seems like. And so it's generally either Chris Fox or Fox, but I get called Chris because my real name is Christopher. So everybody that would call me Chris calls me Christopher, my mom and relatives, and then everyone else calls me Fox or Chris Fox. So Chris, it gets very little love by itself.
Yeah.
But
you were born for the music industry. You got a name born for the music biz.
There you go.
It's been really great. We appreciate your time today, Chris.
Yeah.
And can't wait for the people to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
So thank y'all for joining us. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Quick question, show of hands. How many of y'all got goosebumps at 250% increase?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This girl. Yeah. We know you got your hands up.
Nerding out as marketers over here.
What a great conversation.
Yeah. So you know the drill.
Yep. Like, share, subscribe, save. Do it all so you can always be in the know when we drop new episodes.
Yep. We'll see you next time.